I want to welcome everybody to another In My Feels podcast. Today's episode is actually going to be about why the world is in the state it is in. Reason I'm doing this one is because I've been reading a ton, which I spoke about on my last episode, which was Conversations with God. And again, the kind of religious connotations of the word God is not my perception of, the meaning behind it. For me, God is everything. We are all gods. We are all part of that system. We are all powerful. We are all manifesting everything we want as much as everything we don't want, just by our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and everything else to do with us internally is externalized as physical reality. So I kind of want to dive in on that, but obviously before I do, I want to ask, obviously the thoughts, feelings, conditionings, pretty much everything on the inside creates your outside exterior. So my question for you guys listening is, how are you feeling right now in this moment? Like right now in this moment. It does not how you felt yesterday or tomorrow or how you think you're going to feel next week. I'm talking about right at this moment as you're listening to this podcast. How are you feeling? And really kind of dive in on your feelings. You can pause the podcast or do whatever you want to do. Because I think it's important that, we don't talk about our feelings enough. And it's the way what drives our reality is our emotions and our feelings. So, I haven't even asked myself how I'm feeling today. Today, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. The crypto market is super down. Which I am an avid investor in, but I'm optimistic because there's so much scope to grow, just as the internet did when it first came out. Crypto is kind of on that spectrum and that space, and I feel good about everything. I feel good about my family. I feel good about what I'm doing, who I am becoming, or how I'm perceived in myself. I'm happy with the fact that I keep feeling like I'm leveling up mentally within myself, with my mental health, and my constant practices in the way I handle myself in situations and judgments and everything. Now I'm reaching a point where I'm happy with who I'm becoming. So the last episode we spoke about, or I spoke about, two emotions, love and fear, and how there is really only two emotions that exist. There is two emotions. And the more I dove deep into that, I realized it's true, 100% true. Everything is either fear-based or love-based, or the perception of both. So, if you're entering into a relationship, as I said in my last episode, and you're hurt by a previous relationship, you're leading into that relationship with fear. It's only when you really let go of, you getting hurt or anything that could happen to you from someone else, that's where the kind of love aspect comes in, or giving your all to someone else with no conditioning, no conditions. And I think that's where we need to get to, is that loving place with no conditions. No, it's not reciprocal. Love is not reciprocal. I love you because of this. It's I love you for you. I just love you. And I think we get trapped into that reciprocal, notions. I guess it's probably childhood or upbringing. We all get caught in those moments. If you do this, I will like you more than before. So I think we need to unravel that conditioning firstly, in between the love and fear. And we cannot know love without fear. So we should embrace both emotions and both notions, because without fear you wouldn't know love, and without love you wouldn't know fear. We have these polarities as an educational tool, as a life tool, so we know what the opposite is. Another example is illness and disease. We know of illness and diseases because we have health and wellness. So we wouldn't know what health and wellness was if we didn't have illnesses and disease, which are, all of them are manifested by us in our realities anyway. So, but I'll dive a little bit more onto the health aspect in another episode. So why is the world in the state it is in? Why do we have famine and war and disease and earthquakes and hurricanes, natural disasters and all these kind of things? And to be honest, the answer is a lot more complex and deeper than just the kind of one podcast. And I feel like I'm on a journey now with you guys and myself of the kind of listening, the education behind the manifestations. I spoke about you are everything you manifest. So your thoughts, your feelings, your conditionings, everything inside of you creates your whole outside exterior. And, it's the accountability factor. You are the power. You are the power behind you. Yeah, you can say there's a God behind you and all these type of things, but it's you. You are here in physical reality and you are the God creating your whole existence. And you're creating your entire reality from all the good, the bad, or perceived good or bad. Perception is something bad to someone else may not be bad to you. Something good to something else may be not good to you. So it's all perception. Now, and all manifested is from a place of knowing, right? And I spoke about that in my previous episodes. Now, imagine, so one person has the power, enough power to change any circumstance in the flick of a switch, if you know that that's what the outcome is going to be, which most of us don't, because we don't have that innate trust or the accountability of the fact that we have this power. It's more of a, for me, even me, so, now I'm learning about the knowing and I'm conditioning myself to know rather than just to think and to believe. Now I have faith and I'm starting to trust my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions and everything else. And I know it's going to deliver me what I want. And that's taking time. It's taking time. I'm not there yet. I'm probably 60% there, if that. But I'm on that path. Now, one person has all the power to manifest anything they want. Now imagine two people. Now imagine a whole entire family. And then imagine multiplying that by every living person on earth. All the love, the fear, the everything inside conjuring up. It's a melting pot of earth manifesting everything at once. Or we could say, the worldwide issues are the results of collective consciousness. I know it sounds insane, but again, I'm leading to a place of accountability. Accountability for the way we feel, our emotions, for everything in our lives is us. Collectively, too. Even there may be something that you haven't manifested that someone's in your life that is projected into your life by energies, because we're all connected. So the results of worldwide issues and all these type of things that I just spoke about are the results of collective consciousness. Now, if you believe in manifestation, you have to believe in terms of one person, let alone two, let alone three, let alone a whole nation, let alone a whole country, let alone a whole universe or a whole planet, should I say. Right, so we are accountable for everything on Earth, and the only way we can change any outcome is by understanding this and understanding that we are all to blame for the condition and the state of the world. Only then can we make positive changes. And that goes the same with our lives too. When we accept that we are in charge and in control of our existence and everything that's in it, something powerful happens within us. This innate trust happens within us. This innate knowing happens within us. This faith behind things. When you do certain tasks, you know there's something behind it, that you are driving this force. We are always in a process. So we are always in a process of creating. Every minute, every day, literally turning out a new manifestation as fast as we can think. Now imagine, you don't even have to imagine, your mind. My mind can be busy sometimes with unnecessary thoughts. And then I learn to control those or allow those thoughts to flow through me. Control is the wrong word. By meditation or mindfulness or my counting down from 100 to 0, all the type of thing. I work on that busyness of my mental state so that therefore I can clearly identify my thoughts that are from myself and that are projected into physical reality or my manifestations. Now, if your mind is super, super busy and you're thinking all this positivity, negativity, this, work, life, school, love, all these type of things, you are manifesting at an alarming rate. And now that could be, I mean, I see that as something that's beautiful if we can channel it, which is why I'm doing these type of shows. And this is, I can only speak from my experience and learning how to channel my thoughts and, taking something that I perceive as bad or negative and channeling it into something positive. For example, this podcast to me is something that is positive, because the amount of amazing messages I get from incredible people listening is the reason why I'm doing this. But it's my experiences of all my past, what I perceived as past traumas and anxieties and depressions and experiences that have led me and able to learn how I can progress myself in life. And just remember, we're literally churning out these manifestations as fast as you can think. So your mind's racing, everything's going on. The things we don't like is also a creation. So, for example, we don't like the fact that the planet is being destroyed, or climate change, or all these world hunger. We are all collectively creating from that place, which is a lack of, into the world. So therefore, we are seeing more of it. So we're surrounded by this lack of attitude towards everything. Everything that you can ever imagine that is wrong with the world, there's a lack of food, a lack of resources, a lack of money, a lack of this, a lack of help to help people. All these type of things that we're focusing on, which are creating more experiences or lack of, because the focuses are a lack of instead of the solution-based mentality. So it's really only when we accept responsibility for it all, me, myself too. I am accepting responsibility for the state of the world, myself collectively, from my thoughts and the things I think about, world hunger, all these type of things. I'm collectively adding to that. And it's much easier. So for example, it's really only when we accept responsibility for it all of us, is that we can achieve the power to change some of it. And I've got a ton of inspiration from my Conversations with God book, which is an amazing book, phenomenal book. Please read it. It's amazing. It's not spiritual in a sense. It's not godlike. It's actually the kind of opposite of that. More of a practical based way of what God truly meant to be perceived as. So it's only when we accept responsibility for it all, then we can achieve the power to change some of it. And what I mean by this is it's easier to change what you are doing, thinking, feeling, than it is for someone else, than what someone else is doing or thinking. How many times have you tried to change someone's mental state towards something, or change them for actions change and all these type of things? It's difficult to do. But if you change yourself within, the surrounding you and the energy you project out will also change those surroundings. Sounds super physiological, but in reality, it's, again, I'm leading you down this path of the power you all possess, the manifestation behind it all, and the power you all have. And if we can collectively tap into each one of those consciousnesses, which we all do anyway, we're all connected, we can create a different type of change. And it's us that starts the change. So, because I ask myself, well, how do I change? How do we change? We all have free will. That's a universal law. Free will, if you're heading out your house, you have a free will to turn left or right or go any direction you want. That's free will. That is the gift we have been given. And we have to channel that gift. So now I'm trying to live in a place where I don't judge. I don't judge the state of the world or what we would call it bad. And now what I do is what I wish to change, but not from outside myself. I ask from within. So world hunger, what can I do for world hunger? I can donate money. I can do all these type of things. But again, that's easy. The effort behind what can I do? I can think about abundance for everyone. I can educate someone who doesn't have something to a place where they can manifest anything they want. Educational wise, it happens all the time. I mean, people message me constantly on my socials and everything else, and asking. I wouldn't say they're asking for help. That's the wrong kind of word. They're courageous, and they we want to have this open conversation about feelings and emotions and everything else, so that they reach out for the positive change, which they want to change within themselves. And I am doing that now. I'm changing myself to how I think the world should be. Seeing the world for how it is, not judging, and willing it to do and be better. because I'm going to will and be better. And because that's the power we all have. And I want to quote some of Conversations with God, just to kind of give you some backstory on a couple of paragraphs. And the accountability thing for me is quite practical. You are in control. And I say it so many fucking times because we are in control of our whole entire life. We may not feel like we are. We may feel like things are outside of us and we're out of control. I've been there. I've done it. I understand more than, anyone could comprehend or understand. I've been in every shitty situation you could ever imagine. That's where I came from. But I embrace that now, because without any of that, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't be opening myself up to these type of conversations and to these type of, spiritual, however you want, practical guidance. Or I'm not a guide per se, but it's experiences. And, and I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I don't want to be, life is great if you think happy thoughts, or it's bullshit. That's not what I'm trying to portray. I'm trying to portray a compassion behind what I'm doing and what I'm saying, and accountability for us all. If you're sitting there listening to this going, it's hard for me. It is difficult. I understand it's difficult for mental states to change, and it's not going to happen overnight. It can, if you know it can. But as a human condition, which I've spoke about the power of habits and bad habits and how we create them and how we have to change them with replacing them with good habits. If you're conditioning your mental state to always think negatively, even though you think the negativity is out of your control, therefore it's conditioned state for you to consistently be negative. You have to uncondition that state to think positive. And you have to condition yourself every day to be positive. Well, how do you be positive? That's why, I used to say those things. Say a couple of nice things about you every day. And when something bad comes in, or you think a bad thought about yourself, say one nice thing about yourself. And if you can't think about someone else, yourself as a nice thing, say something about something you see. Wow, what a beautiful flower. It's stunning. How the fuck did that get here? Then it opens up other questions. Who the fuck created that flower? Did the seed come first, or was it the flower? Then you start diving into, was it the chicken that came first, or was it the egg? Was it the baby or the human? None of it matters, but it's the fact of it's the opening, the mental state, and it puts you into a position of living in the now, which I've spoke about tons of times on the show. But this is a quote from Conversations with God, which I kind of want to read. And it may make sense to some people, but it may make sense to just me because I'm listening, because I'm reading the book right now and I'm deep into it, and it's phenomenal. One of the best books I've ever read. And it says, what part of myself do I wish to experience now in the face of this calamity? So, it could be anything. An issue you're going through. What part of myself do I wish to experience now? And it says, all life exists as a tool for your own creation, or of your own creation, and all of its events merely present themselves as opportunities for you to decide and be who you are. This is true for every soul, and so you see there are no victims in the universe, only creators. The masters who have walked this planet all knew this. This is why no matter which master you might name, none imagined themselves to be victims, though many were truly crucified. Sounds super biblical, but it's not really. I mean, again, when I've spoken about this on the show, is people focus on the crucifixion and not the resurrection. You can say it as a physical thing that happened to Jesus. Yes, he was crucified, and that was the negative aspect of what happened to him. But the main word of what he was trying to portray was he resurrected. He came back from that. Just as any life situation where, not physically, in physical terms, your hands and feet are not nailed to a cross. But, I used to feel like I was chained to my negativity, to my mental state, to my head was too heavy for my body, my negativity. And my resurrection was not feeling those things, but working on why I was feeling those things in the first place and why I'm not feeling them now. And this is what this show is about. It's about expanding yourself to a point where you like yourself, or being okay with yourself. And then once you start getting to that plateau, it becomes normal. It becomes normal for you to be okay within yourself. And then once you're okay within yourself, you level up, which I talk about a lot. And then you level up and you level up and you surround yourself, and you'll see the outside attractions to those things, which start coming in and coming in and coming in. And you'll meet people who are like-minded like you, because like attracts like. And then you'll be in conversations with people about feelings, about emotions, about the universe. Where did we come from? Why are we here? Who am I? It's beautiful things. It's not fearful things. And you'll meet like-minded people, and then you'll grow in that experience. And then your energy will grow out inside of yourself, outside of yourself. And that's how you make change. And that's how you make change to the state of the world. Yes, we know of these issues. Yes, we know of climate change. Yes, we know of hunger and famine and everything else. But don't judge them. Don't condemn them. Don't perceive them as bad, because then you are bad. You see what I'm saying? It's not, yes, they are bad because they are. That's what they are. That's what they're perceived to be. But you can make the change. You can make the change by empowering the people around you to make the change for everyone else. And that's how we create a group consciousness that builds to a future that we want. And for those listening who have children, who are, climate change and all these things, yes, it's real, because we know it's real. That's why, and so it shall be. Again, it's the externalized version of our internalized manifestations. So for those who have kids or who want kids or anything else, and we think about what's going to be left for our kids, I mean, that's adding to the fuel of our manifestations, the collective consciousness. And the whole planet's probably thinking these things. Actually, maybe not, because ignorance to them is bliss, but it's not. Ignorance is ignorance. So we now collectively have to come together to understand that, again, we are powerful creatures. We are godlike. We are humans living a God experience in physical reality. And you guys know me. I'm not biblical. I'm not religious. I'm not, some would say I'm spiritual, but I'm more practical. I understand from a practical approach who we are and who we want to become. And that's the question. Who do you want to become? It's not really a question of who you are. It's who you want to become. And I think that kind of tops up where I'm at in the show, and why is the world the state it's in. I think I've kind of touched up on that. I'll go into more detail in the kind of next episodes. But again, I mean, so many people are reaching out to me. I want more listeners on the show. I'm going to turn this into a kind of listener-based podcast and really dive in on the evidence behind studying, study your lives to see the perception of what you see as bad, and why is it there and why is it bad. Because if you attracted it to you and you perceive it as bad, that means you perceive yourself as bad. Because I've done it. I've done it, so many situations come in, I perceive them as bad, and then I start thinking I am bad. Or at least I distance myself from my power, from my manifestation. So that's where the disconnect, and this is where we have got lost over the centuries and over the many, many, thousands of years. We have lost the connection between the magic of the universe, because when we see a shitty situation come in, we distance it from ourselves, or it's our creation, so therefore it's not. And that's where we have to unravel the conditioning. But again, I'd love to hear from anyone who has anything to say. I just want to talk about feelings with anyone or anything else. Please hit me up on my Instagram, at AL-CHAMAA, or Twitter, or I'd love feedback on Apple Podcasts, so please leave me a detailed message, and I'd love to invite you on. Any feedback is highly, highly appreciated, and I want to thank you guys for continuing to listen. It's really appreciated, so I appreciate you all. Thank you.